Can anyone tell me what do you mean by algorithm? Till now we have seen different types of programs we have implemented with different functions, right? So what is an algorithm? Set of rules,
Short.
of instructions. Okay. Step by step arrangement of program. Fine. Okay. Algorithm can be consist of a set of steps or instructions that can be performed to complete a given task. Okay. To execute a particular task, we write a set of steps or instructions. That is nothing but an algorithm. Now, how an algorithm should be? Okay. Algorithm, it has some properties. First property is finiteness. What do you mean by finiteness? Finiteness is nothing but the algorithm, it should terminate after execution of some finite number of steps. Okay, it should not go in an infinite loop. If the algorithm goes in an infinite loop, we cannot say that it is a feasible algorithm, right? So for an algorithm, it should be a finite algorithm. That means it should terminate after some finite number of steps. Okay. Second property of algorithm is definiteness. Okay. Now, what do you mean by definiteness? That algorithm, it should be unambiguous and it should be clear. That means it should give a it should not be a confusing algorithm. If it is a confusing algorithm, we cannot use it properly, right? So the algorithm should be clear and it should be unambiguous. That is what it is called as definiteness. And the third property of an algorithm, it is that it should be effectiveness. Okay, effectiveness means what? The algorithm should be written by using the basic instruction set, and those instructions should be able to convert into the machine language. Okay, for writing a program. So these are the basic properties of an algorithm that every algorithm should have. Okay, because for performing some particular task, we can perform that task in different ways. So different algorithms can be written for a given problem, right? So how should a perfect algorithm must be? It should have this three properties. Okay, got this? Now, as we know that a problem can has multiple algorithms, analysis of algorithm should be done, that which algorithm is better for that given problem. Okay, to decide this, analysis of algorithm is done. Now, analysis of algorithm is done on two bases. First one is on this space basis. It is called as space complexity, and second one is time complexity. Okay. Now, space complexity is nothing but the amount of space required for storing the program variables, the instruction set, and all the execution. Whatever amount of space will be required from memory, that will come under the space complexity. Okay. Next one is the time complexity. Time complexity is nothing but the amount of time required to complete execution of an algorithm is called as time complexity. So less the space, more efficient is the algorithm. Less the time required, the more efficient is the algorithm, right? So time complexity and space complexity for a proper algorithm should be as low as possible. Got this? Yes, no? Okay. Now for calculation of complexity or analysis of algorithm, it is done on frequency count basis. That is, frequency count is nothing but how much time that instruction is going to get executed. That is called as frequency count. For example, suppose I have an instruction x is equals to x plus 1. Now in my program, this statement will be executed once, hence its frequency count will be 1. Right? Similarly, I have another instruction like this for I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus x equals to x plus 1. Okay, suppose this is my problem statement. Okay, now this statement, that is x is equals to x plus, how many times it is going to execute? Since it is in the loop will go from 0 to n, that means n times, right? So this statement will be executed n times, hence frequency count for this statement is n. Got this? Yes, no? Right? Similarly, suppose I have one statement for I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, for j equals to 1, j less than equals to n, j plus plus, x equals to x plus 1. Now the frequency count for the statements will be, now x is equals to x plus 1. It is written in the inner for loop. Inner for loop will execute from 1 to n. That means how many times it is going to execute? N times, right? Now this inner for loop will execute n times for a single value of I, right? When I is initially assigned to 0, inner for loop will execute from 1 to n of values for j for n times. That means for I is equals to 0, inner for loop is going to execute n times. Then I will be incremented, I will become 1. Again, for the value of I is equals to 1, this inner for loop is going to again execute n times, ranging the value of j will go from 1 to n, right? Similarly, this outer for loop is going to execute how many times? 0 to n, that is n times. So n times the outer for loop, inner for loop is going to execute n times, right? So total FC count for, that is frequency count, this will be n into n. Okay, that is n square. Getting this? Yes, no? Okay. So frequency count is nothing but how many times that statement is going to execute, we calculate it. Okay. So now I'm going to give you the example and tell me the frequency count of that example. For I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, x equals to x plus 1. This is step. Then y is equals to y plus 1, z is equals to z plus 2. Then for I equals to 1, I less than n, I plus 1, sorry, I plus plus, y equals to y plus 2. Sorry. For j equals to 1, j less than equals to n, j plus plus, y is equals to y plus 2. Calculate the frequency count of this and tell me the answer in the chat box. n into n into n. Okay, any other answers? N raised to 3. Okay. Others? Other than this answer? Whether it should be multiplication or it should be addition, just check it properly. N plus n square plus n cube. Okay. Others? How you are going to count the frequency count? Just see whether how many times that statement is going to execute, and once you have got the number of execution of the statement, just count it, perform the addition of that. Okay, so please check your answer again. N plus n square plus 2. Okay, we will solve it. Now this is first for loop. For loop I goes from 0 I less than n, that means it will execute this statement which is given in the for loop for n times. So it will have n, right? Y is equals to y plus 1. It is a single statement. It will be executed for one time. Similarly, z is equals to z plus 2. It will also execute it for one time, right? Now this for loop. For this for loop, outer for loop goes from I is equals to 1 and it is less than equals to n. That means n times. Inner for loop j is equals to 1 into 1 to n, right? So this statement will execute n times for inner for loop and again n times for outer for loop. So in all, it will be executed n into n, that is n square times, right? Now we have to calculate the frequency count. So frequency count will be addition of this, that is n plus 1 plus 1 plus n square, which is equals to n plus 2 plus n square. Okay. Now the analysis or the execution of algorithm is considered on the basis of magnitude of the variable. That is the it will consider the frequency count which is highest for given number of statements. So in this we have the highest count as n square, right? So the analysis done after doing this, it will be n square for the given complete code. But this, yes, no, everyone, fine. So got this, how to calculate the frequency count for a given statements of algorithm steps, right? Now, next topic is asymptotic notation. Now, what is asymptotic notation? there are some mathematical tools that are used to calculate the time complexity of an algorithm. Now, those mathematical tools is known as asymptotic notation. Now, the first tool for calculation of uh, time complexity is big O notation. That is asymptotic notation. First one is big O notation. It is represented by capital O. Now, what is big O notation? It calculates the upper bound of an algorithm. That means it measures the largest amount of time required by an algorithm to execute its task. Okay, that is nothing but a big O notation. For example, suppose we have two functions f of x and g of x, and we can say that f of x is big O of g of x only if there exist two constants k and c such that f of x is smaller than equal to c into g of x for all x greater than equals to k. Okay, we say that f of x is a big O of g of x only if there exist two constants c and k such that f of x is smaller than equals to c into g of x for all values of x greater than equals to k. Okay, then only we can say it is a big O of notation. Now second notation is omega notation. Omega, it is represented by this symbol. Now big O of function or big O notation is going it calculates the upper bound of any algorithm, right? Similarly, omega notation, it calculates the lower bound of a algorithm. That means it will measure the highest amount of time which was required for an algorithm to execute, that was calculated in big O notation. It is exactly opposite. In omega notation, it calculates the best time or the smallest amount of time required to execute that algorithm. We called it as omega notation. Now, omega notation, we can say that function f of x is omega of g of x only if there exist two constants c and k such that f of x is greater than equals to c into g of x for all x greater than equals to k. Okay. When you are writing the definition of this notation, you should mention this statement. It is very important. It indicates the definition of this notations. Okay. Now, third notation is theta notation. Now, theta notation, it calculates the lower bound as well as the upper bound for a given algorithm. Okay. Now, in this, it is denoted by f of x is theta of g of x only if there exist constants like c1, c2 and k such that c2 into g of x is smaller than equals to f of x smaller than equals to c1 into g of x for all x greater than equals to k. Okay, that means it includes upper bound as well as the lower bound of an algorithm. Okay, it calculates the upper bound as well as the lower bound. That means it calculates the average time required for an algorithm to execute completely. What these three basic notations? Okay. So this is the end of your first unit. Now we will start with the second unit. Second unit consists of searching and sorting techniques. Okay. Now, what do you mean by searching and sorting? Now, searching and sorting, these are the techniques that are required to manage the data which is stored in your system. Okay. Now, we know that in the system or in the data, in the memory, there is a huge amount of data is over there. Okay. Now, when we are requiring some particular data from that, either we have to go for searching purpose, right? We have to find that data, some particular data from a large amount of data. So to manage this, we are performing the searching, or we are using the searching techniques. Now searching technique is nothing but to find a particular element from a given large amount of data. But this searching, sorry, now searching, it can be done in two ways. First method is linear search, and the second method is binary search. Okay. Now, what is linear search? Linear search, it is the basic and the simple search algorithm. In linear search, the searching is done linearly, or it is also known as sequential search. Okay. That means, suppose we have a data like this. A block of memory is allocated and a data is stored in this manner. Now, in a linear search, what happens? The search starts from the first element and it goes on from first to next till last, till we find the element that is to be searched. Okay, so it searches the data in a linear fashion or a sequential fashion. Hence the name is linear search. Okay, getting this? Now, for example, suppose I have a data like this. Okay, I have some alphabet stored in the data and I have to perform a search operation and I have to search character C. Okay, so in linear search, what will happen? It will start from the first location, right? It will compare the value of this first location, that is zeroth location, with the value that is to be searched. If it is matching, then it will return the matched value, or if it is not matching, then it will terminate, right? So it is not matching, so it will go to the next element. Again, it will do comparison. Matching is not done. Again, it will move to the next element. Not match, go to the next element. Not match, go to the next element. Here, when it finds that element, it will display message that the element present is at this location. Now, location will be fourth, right? That means 0 to 4th location. That means it is the fifth element in the given sequence, right? So the search operation, linear search, will return the value that the element is present at the fourth location, or we can say that the element is present at the fifth location. Okay. Fifth, when you will tell fifth, if you consider the first element starting from first location. If you are considering it at starting from zeroth location, then it will be considered that the element is present at the zeroth location. Sorry, fourth location. Okay, and search operation will terminate at this location. Okay, after getting that element. If the element is not matched over here, now suppose my element that is to be searched is K. Our controller has come up to this. It is not matched. Go for the next element. Not matched. Go for the next element. Not matched. Terminate the program since your database has end. Okay. And at the end, display the message that the element is not present in the given database. Okay. That is the basic step or the algorithm for linear search. So basically, how the linear search works, it search the elements from one location and goes on searching sequentially till the end of the database. If the element is present within the database, it will return from that position. And if the element is not present in the element, at the end it is going to display the message that the element is not present in your database. Okay. So this is the basic logic for the linear search. Now we are going to write the algorithm for linear search. So initially, what I have to do, I have to perform the search operation from first location to the end of that data set, right? So I'll set I variable to 0th location, right? And consider there are n elements in my data set. So if I is less than n, then sorry, if I is greater than n, then go to okay. This is the basic algorithm. Now we will see with one example. Consider consider my data set array A, which is having 5 elements stored from 0 to 4th location. Okay. Now the element that is to be searched, it will be taken in the variable, let's say x. Now suppose my x value is 13. Okay. Now initially set I equals to 0. So I will be set at first location. Now if I is greater than n value is nothing but number of elements in the data set, that is 5. So my I value is 0 and n is 5. So I is greater than n? No. So it will go to the next step. In next step, check do the comparison of a of I with the value of x. If a of I is matching with the x value, then go to 6. At the 6, we will display message that the element is found at location I. But in this case, a of I is 11, right? So it is not matching with the x value. So go for the next statement. I plus plus. I will come to this location. After this statement, fifth statement is go to step 2. Again, it will come over here. Now check whether I is greater than n. I is 1, n value is 5. No. So go to the next. Again, do the comparison of a of I with the x element. So a of I is 1, x is 13. Not matching, go to the next statement. I plus plus. I will come to this location, that is 2. After this, go to step 2. Again here, we'll check whether I is greater than equals to greater than n. No, I is 2, n is 5. So it is not greater. So next statement is do the comparison. A of I is 13, x is 13. Match found, then go to, if this condition is true, then go to 6. So here at the 6, display the message element found at location I, that is second location, and go to 8. Stop the algorithm. Right? Now, if considered my x value is 20, right? So it will not perform this step 3, it will increment the value of I plus plus. I will come to this location, again go to step 2. Again check I is greater than n, no. Again check the comparison, again this is small, I plus plus. I becomes 4 now. Again go to step 2. Again check whether I is small greater than n. No. Again, do the comparison. No. I plus plus I becomes 5. Now this condition becomes true. That is I is not greater than, that is value of I is becomes greater than n. So then go to step 7. So add the 7, element not present. Display the message element not present and go to the next step, that is stop. Okay. So this is the algorithm for linear search. What is algorithm? Yes, no? Okay. Everyone. Fine. Now we will calculate the complexity of the algorithm. Okay. Now complexity of an algorithm, it is calculated in three ways. First one is best case complexity. Second is worst case complexity. And the third is average case complexity. Best case means the algorithm that takes the minimum amount of time to execute completely. It comes under the best case complexity. Worst case means the maximum largest amount of time taken by the algorithm to execute it. That will come under worst case. And average case is nothing but it is the calculation for average of all the possibilities that we are going to check it. Now for linear search, we will see each of this. Now suppose this is where you are adding data set. Now best case thing comparison in case of linear search is that the element that I have to be searched, I will found that element within my first comparison. That means the element will be present at the first location. Getting it, that is the best case. Okay, that means I have a data set and I have to search an element and I found that element at my first comparison only. So that will be my best case, right? So the number of comparison for the best case will be 1, right? So the time complexity, the best case time complexity will be 1. That is big O of 1. It is the time complexity of the best case for a linear search. Now we will see the worst case. Now worst case is that either the element is present at the last location, that is I have to do the comparison of all the elements present in the data set, or the element is not present in the data set. In that case also I have to compare all the elements in the given data set, right? For example, either the value that is to be searched, it is either 15 or suppose 20. Okay. If it is 15, I have to search this 15 in the given database. I have to do the comparisons with all these elements, right? That is, if there are n elements, I have to compare the n elements to get the last element, right? Or consider that the element that is to be searched, it is not present in the database. In that case also, I have to do all the comparisons of n elements, right? That would be my worst case, right? Hence, the worst case, the number of comparisons done will be n. That is the total number of elements in the data set. Hence, the time complexity will be big O of n. Worst case time complexity for linear search is big O of n. Got this? Yes, no? Guys, reply yes, no? Okay. Now, the third type is average case complexity. Now, in average case, what we consider, we will assume that the element that is to be search is present at every location, and we will take the average of all these comparisons, right? That means if it is present at the first location, then the number of comparisons will be 1. Now suppose if it is present at the second location, so the number of comparisons will be 2. That is, we have to compare two elements. Now suppose the element is present at the third location, so number of comparisons will be 3. Like this, if the element is present at the last location, the number of comparisons will be 8. Right? And we have to take the average of this. So divide by n. That is nothing but n into n plus 1 upon n. Sorry, 2n. The value of this is nothing but n into n plus 1 by 2, and this n as it is. So this n cancel, it becomes n plus 1 upon 2. So the time complexity will be, average case time complexity will be n plus 1 by 2. What this? That is, we are taking the average of all the possibilities of finding that element at each location. Got this? Yes? So the overall, if you look at this is big O of 1, this is n, this is n plus 1 by 2. So the order of n over here is also n, right? Hence, the time complexity of linear search is always big O of n. Okay? So this is nothing but a linear search. Now the next search is binary search, but the time is up. We will continue the binary search concept in the next lecture. Okay? So thank you for listening carefully.